Okay. And hold on just a second. Why isn't it going live on Facebook? Here we go. Here we go. This has been a crazy week. So if anybody else is feeling overwhelmed by all the stuff happening in their lives, I hear you loud and clear. And to be able to try and focus on launching a book and living life can get super overwhelming all the time. Oh, it's so funny. I got to figure out how to adjust this too, because, well, I'll mess with that later. I usually have that pushed out of the way so you don't see all my junk behind me, and it's usually doesn't have everyone's heads cut off, but we are where we are today. It is what it is. We're not going to focus on that stuff, and we are going to just move forward with talking about launching books. This is one of my favorite webinars to give each year because well, a couple times a year, because studying book launches is really something that I enjoy doing just because it's interesting, but also necessary if we're going to continue to succeed in what we're doing. And studying what's happening in these book launches gives us a really good idea for what works, what doesn't work, how we can modify our own launches, how we can do all these things. And now this is going to drive me bonkers, so I'm sorry. I have to move it. It's not moving. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, like I said, it's been a super crazy week. I'm just trying to behave like a normal human being. But for those of you who know me, that's not always easy for me to do. Okay, I do have an official presentation for everybody here today. So let me go ahead and get that pulled up and ready for you so we can get into it. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. Now I can see everything I need to. So just quickly, we do have a Q&A box. Please, if you have questions throughout the presentation, put your questions in the Q&A box, because I don't want to miss those as we go through here and things just get out of control in the chat. So we are really excited to welcome you here and to talk about book launching. As I said, following the trends in book launching really helps us with our clients, with our folks in WIP school, with our own publishing companies, and there's just so much to take in. And the one thing I want everybody to know is that I'm going to present a lot of information to you today. Just try to take a deep breath and realize that with launching a book, the reason that we have slowed down our processes and really added a lot of time is because there is so much to do depending on how you are trying to position yourself and to get your book out into the world. So I'm going to show a couple of different kinds of launch strategies, talk through some case studies, and get us going. So for those of you who are new to me, welcome. I'm very excited if this is your first webinar to get to know new people in our community. You may have come from the Women in Publishing Summit community. You may be here from our Write, Publish, Sell community or one of our publishing houses. And in case you don't know me, my name is Alexa Bigwarfe, and I'm an author coach, author myself, a publisher, podcaster, summit host, all the things. We do a lot of things. And I in that realm of the many hats that I wear, book launching is a combination of the most stressful and the most enjoyable thing that we do. If you can put, it's kind of like being a parent, right? Like it's hard work, but it's so rewarding. And I love sharing what we've seen going on. These are just our companies, our businesses, what we are doing, all the things that we're doing, and also why this makes me the right person to give you this presentation, because not only am I in it myself as an author, we're launching authors, we're working with authors all the time, and we have our own publishing houses as well. So we see what's really happening on the back end. So today we're going to talk about the different types of launches goals and realistic expectations, how to get in front of readers, reviewers, and building your author platform. Not going to spend a whole lot of time there because it will be discussed as we go through the strategies in our case studies. And then we'll have time for a Q&A. I am going to be talking about Book Launch in a Box at the end of this, and that is our program that we run each year. And I would love, to be able to tell you what's happening because it starts in June. It's a phenomenal program. So hang on till the end. If you have to leave early, we will send out the replay as fast as we can, and you'll be able to see all about that. So let's dig in. So these are the types of launches that I'm going to talk to you about today. We're going to talk about rapid release, passion projects, traditional, and relaunches. I'm going to cover books in all genres because the one thing that I want everyone to know is that while your own specific strategy needs to be customized to you, the types of platforms that you use, where your audience is, whether you're using LinkedIn as opposed to TikTok, those types of things make a difference when you're planning out your own way to show up. But as a whole, generally speaking, everybody can follow the same master strategy in what they're doing to be successful, because there is a tried and true system of what needs to happen for you to have a successful book launch or relaunch or post-launch marketing and all of those types of things. And you just have to customize it down to your genre and to where your audience lives. So we're going to go through some of these, and I'm going to start with the rapid release. Now, I want to say to you that here are the types of people and genres that would be successful for a rapid release. The people that can rapid release are those who already have an audience, those who are doing series in a short order, and those who already have an existing audience. Can you do a rapid release if you don't fall into one of those categories? Of course, but you need to have those. Remember, I mentioned in the very beginning, goals and expectations, realistic expectations. You need to understand that if you rapid release a book, which means, what do I mean by rapid release? Writing it and launching it really quickly without a big period of time to grow your audience, do your marketing, all of that kind of stuff. So if you don't have an audience, if you don't have a lot of books out there, et cetera, you still can launch quickly. And we'll talk about that a little bit more under the passion project section, but you're not going to see these types of results. Okay. So anybody who's attended anything that I do, I almost always talk about Emma St. Clair because she is a personal friend of it. She's also one of the most successful authors that I know out there. And this is an example of her rapid release that she did. She launched her first book in this 6-book series on October 11th, 2020, followed by the second book on December 19th, 2020, followed by the third book on February 6th, 2021, followed by books let's see, the next one is covered by my Q&A box. The holidays came out just in time for Christmas on December 20th, 2020. Then books 5 and 6 came out in May and July of 2021. So I don't know about you guys, but that makes my head spin. Like, it's taken me 2 years to write my first book. I cannot even imagine putting them out months, sometimes weeks, one after the other. But she can do this because these are like, she's on her like 27th, or I think she's over 30 books at this point in time because she writes under another pen name as well. So she has an audience. She knows how to do this. She knows the system. She's learned all the things. She's done all the things. I assure you, her first books were not launched like this. Okay. So once you get here's the good news. This is the bright light at the end of the tunnel, right? This is what's coming for you if you stay consistent and you keep doing this. And assuming you're in a genre like this, where she's in rom-com, that people just read and read and read and read and read and read. This won't be applicable to every type of genre, obviously. I mean, I can't imagine a children's book author trying to follow a similar progress unless you've been working on these books for a long time and you have 5 books that you're ready to release one after the other in a short period of time. And nonfiction, the way I could see this playing out is if you've taken a large topic and written many small books off of it. So maybe you teach website design and maybe you've created 5 small books that go along with it. I can see you doing it there. But in most cases, this works for fiction authors with a very hungry genre who already have their system in place to do it. And she has worked at this over years and come to this point. Okay, so here's her new series that she has coming out, and she slowed down just a little bit. The first, it's going to be a 5-book series, and it's several months in between them, but she's got her first book launched and her second book already out on pre-order, and a third book I'm sure will be following not far behind it. Okay, here's 2 other types of rapid release books, and these speak to the nonfiction. So Dinner for $1 was a book that we published a few years ago. And Shelley's whole goal was to start her business with her book. She didn't care about a long lead in. She didn't care about having a huge amount of sales on book launch day. She didn't care about those types of things. What she wanted to do was put this book out there so that she could start building her business around it. So that is one time where you may consider launching before you have a large build up to it. And the same thing with Sunshine After the Storm, which was my first book. We had a deadline to hit. We wanted to have it out by a very certain special day, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Day. So we forgo any of the things that I'll be showing you in some of the case studies later to get this book out into the world for a very specific purpose. Again, knowing that would mean we wouldn't have huge sales, and we weren't even looking for huge sales. We just wanted to get the book out there. So those are some examples of why you might choose to rapid release. A passion project can also be done and launched very, very quickly. This one, it was recently launched by one of my clients, Haley Hunter Hines, and she had been working on this book for a long time. She had been talking to her community about it. She had a very specific date that she wanted to get the book into the world. It was more of I've written this book and I want it to be available, more than it was, I want to grow a huge launch and hit, have 800 million reviews and all these kinds of things. So with passion projects, a passion project can be something that's just on your heart to put out into the world. Sunshine After the Storm could also fall under this category. It could be something that your grandmother's recipe books, or maybe your grandmother's memoir that you just wanted to help get into the world. Maybe you've just always wanted to be a published author, and that's your goal in life, is to be published, maybe not necessarily to have all the bells and whistles and create an author lifestyle for yourself, right? So if you just have a book that you really want to get into this world and you don't want to spend 3 to 12 months marketing and doing all the things, then you might consider to launch fairly quickly. A relaunch type of launch. So these are 2 examples. The Woods at Barlow Bend, written by Jody Kane Smith. She had launched it under a different publisher and wasn't happy with the cover, wasn't really happy with the things had been done, and wanted to do a relaunch. So brought her in quickly, got a new cover, made a few changes to the book, and put the book out there again without any marketing. None. She may have done some marketing. We didn't do any marketing on our end, but it was very quick. Like as soon as the book was ready to go, we got it out there. I believe she had an event she wanted to have it ready for, some other things, but she put it out there, and within a few months had all these reviews because it was repositioned properly with a cover that made more sense and categories that made more sense and all of those. And then some of you who are in our community know about Rainey, who just relaunched her book. The Able Queen relaunched yesterday, and same kind of situation here. She had a great book. It's getting reviews. But she wasn't thrilled with the cover, and she wanted to make some changes to the interior of the book based on some feedback she'd gotten. So again, a repackaging, made some changes, some small changes to the interior of the book, and put it back out into the world again. So those are relaunches. They don't require as much buildup. They don't require months and months and months and advanced review copies and all those types of things, unless you want to. If your goal is relaunching because you didn't build the first time and you're like, I want to rebuild and do all of those things, then you might take a longer approach to your relaunch. And then the traditional launch. So I call it the traditional launch because it follows more of like what traditional publishing would do for you. It's a much longer lead time. You're usually getting your books out into the world by building a strong army of advanced readers, by seeking trade reviews, by creating collaborations and partnerships, really doing a long lead into the project. And usually you're marketing within 3 to 6 months or longer from the time you have a final book. So it's not a, hey, the book is done, let's throw it on Amazon and go. It's a, okay, the book is done, let's get it into the hands of people, let's do some marketing, let's get some early reviews, all those types of things. And these are 2 examples of books we have coming up. Layla Held for a Moment is a memoir about Leah's experience with her stillborn daughter. And that one's coming out in October. We're already getting it into the hands of readers. As you can see, this is our advanced reader copy cover. And then The Crystal Beads, which is a beautiful story about the hidden children during the Holocaust by our community member, Pat Black Gold. And we've been working on this book for a long time and getting ready for her launch in June. So as I go through the case studies, I'll explain a little bit more about this. So before you start thinking about your launch strategy, you really have to know and understand what you want to come out of it. If you want, well, first of all, the rapid release that I showed you on Emma St. Clair, like that really requires already having done lots of work with lots of other books. Like I told you, she's up into the 30s in books published. So that is not your standard situation, but it's a goal to get to. But do you want a certain number of sales? Do you want a certain number of reviews? Are you trying to grow your email list through the process? If you're a nonfiction author, are you trying to establish yourself as an expert? And that's more important to you perhaps than a long launch and lots of sales. Are you trying to rapidly release a series? Because one of the things that we do know is that more books creates more sales opportunities and brings in more readers, because as you're marketing book 3 and people come in and see, oh, there's a 1 and a 2, there's good reasons for rapidly releasing a series and growing your audience through the series as you go. But it's all a numbers game, and it's very, very important. There's no one right answer. That's the wonderful, well, unless you have a publisher who's saying this is the way we're doing it. But if you're indie publishing, if you're self-publishing, there's no right answer to it. It's what you want to achieve from it. And you have to be very, very realistic. When we did a workshop last month called Demystifying the Marketing Timeline, and the question I asked was, what do you want? Do you want to be New York Times bestsellers, or do you just want your book out there that you can have so that you can take it to events or have a table at local fairs or whatever you want to do? Like, one of those is going to require months and months and months and months and months of work, and the other one does not. So understanding what you want and then setting those realistic expectations will help you determine which type of these launches is right for you. At the end of the day, though, there's 2 major things that are going to help you get farther. That's reviews and sales. So really, the best way to have a big launch is to have your book in the hands of as many people as possible, talking about your book, creating buzz, going to their libraries and bookstores, asking about it because they've heard from people on it, leaving reviews on Goodreads before the launch. Buzz, 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 buzz. That is going to get you sales. And a lot of people think I'm crazy when I say you need to give away hundreds of copies of your book before you even launch. But seriously, like the reason behind that is because having all those people, as long as they're the right kind of people, and the way that you find the right kind of people is going through review systems that actually basically have a requirement for people to actually post a review, like NetGalley or Review Tours or things like that. But even with just collecting, just getting out on BookFunnel and getting people onto your advanced review team and things like that, you can still get people to participate by leaving reviews ahead of time. And yes, you'll see fewer, potentially you may see fewer sales if you don't have a large audience. But if you get all of those reviews, it helps you as you are moving forward in your marketing, etc. How do you get advanced reviews? If pub date is 1/3/23 and not available till then, other than the author copies, how do you get advanced reviews? So the only place that people can leave reviews officially before launch is going to be on Goodreads. So if you're not using Goodreads, your first action step today is to go sign up for a free Goodreads account and then register as an author. And if you already have a book published, that's a very simple process. If you don't, you can't get the author designation until you have a book at least on pre-order. However, people can post reviews on social media. They can post reviews on blogs, they can share in other places that still create the buzz. And then there comes in the whole idea of trade reviews and editorial reviews, where these are people that you seek to actually leave reviews in places where people go to read about books that are coming out. And that requires a whole different level of action steps sorry, my mind just blanked out, but a whole different process of what you're trying to do to get those. But when it comes to building your ARC team, if they can't, basically you get the books into their hands and you have to communicate with them. And you have to say, this is why building your email list and having an email sequence with your ARC team, ARC is advanced review copy, and we just call them the ARC team. You have to have that relationship with them where you're communicating them and saying, I didn't just send you my book for free just because I'm a very generous person. I sent it to you because I need your help in ensuring a great launch, so please plan on leaving your review on Goodreads or Amazon. You cannot require someone to leave a review on Amazon, but you can say, if you really enjoyed this book, it would help me tremendously if you left a review on Amazon, or post on your social, or write a blog post, or put it on Goodreads, all those other places. So it's about when you find those people in advance and they get your book copy, they can also leave you blurbs that you can include in the book or on your Amazon page or on your website or in your social media marketing. All of those places you can use all of that stuff in advance to your launch, even if it's not on Amazon until launch day. Great, Jen. I did not know that you could. I've never tried to leave a review before a launch on Barnes and Noble, so that is good to know. Okay, so add that to your list. You can tell people to go leave a review on Barnes and Noble. When you give books away, they're not verified purchases. So how do you get those reviews up on Amazon? Doesn't care if someone purchased your book on a big picture. I know a lot of people are going to be like, what's the verified purchase thing? Here's the deal. What Amazon does want to see is a blend of verified purchase sales and people who have reviewed your book, so or purchased the book, or people who have reviewed it. So basically what happens is if you send too many people on launch day that have not purchased your book, and we believe that the number is about 50, that's where we've seen accounts get locked down. If you send more than 50 people, then that's when you run into the problem of your account getting blocked for reviews for a little while. So one of the things that we do to get around that is to put our ebooks on sale and ask our advanced readers if they would purchase the ebook, then they're verified. But if they don't, then you just, depending on the number of people you expect to leave reviews, believe it or not, it is much harder than you think to get 50 reviews in one day. So, just educate your advanced readers and say, if, you don't have to buy the book, but if you could, here it is, blah, blah, blah. There's ways around that. And Amazon absolutely will let you have people leave reviews that have not purchased the book. Anyone can review anything on Amazon. There's a lot of reasons why reviews get blocked. If they're related to you, if they were involved in the book, if they are using the same IP address, shockingly, and if they've never reviewed anything ever before, and all of a sudden on launch day are reviewing your book. So, these are things to educate your audience about. So how to get in front of these readers, reviewers, and book buyers. This is the big part. This is the hard part. Sandy's here, and she's here to testify. She says, I'm having trouble even getting my launch team who got free copies to leave a review on Amazon. It's hard work, you guys. I always give the example of Princess Monroe, one of our children's books through Purple Butterfly Press. We ran a strong ads campaign, and we had over 1,100 people request an advanced reader copy of the book. 52 of them left reviews. So it is hard sometimes, and not everyone's going to read, not everyone's even going to download and read your book. Not everyone's going to read a review. So people are busy. So you have to do a couple of things. One, educate them from the very beginning of the process. This is what I'm expecting from you. I'm expecting at a minimum in exchange for this book that you do one of these things. You post on social media, you post on Amazon, you post here or there, like, please do some of these things. I need your help. You know, you've said you want to be an advanced reader. This is your role as an advanced reader, et cetera, and follow up. Remind people. I've said I'd be an advanced reader back before I stopped doing it because I just don't have the time. But it just, you have to remind people as well, and just expect that it may be months before people do anything. So let's talk about, we could spend all day talking about that, but let's get back on track here. We'll never make it through this presentation. Who's going to buy your book has to be the first and most important thing that you know. I mean, that you have nailed down. Who is reading this type of book, and where am I best going to be able to find them and get in front of them? These are the great things about all the review sites that are up, like NetGalley and paid promo tours and things like that, even, that you have companies that have curated lists of people who have said, I like this type of book, and they will go in and self-identify, and most of them are pretty good about leaving reviews as well. But you also have to know, in terms of your content marketing and social media and all of those things, who wants to buy your book and why, and be talking to them and creating those relationships, which is a very long strategy. Where are they hanging out? Is your audience going to be here or here or here? You know, figure that out. Are they using LinkedIn? Are they, you know, reading blogs? Where are they going to be, and how can you get in front of them and get their attention? What's going to make them want to either buy a book, share about a book, review a book, recommend a book? Are there clubs and organizations that you can get in front of? All kinds of things that you just have to spend the time thinking about who these people are, what they like, and where they're going to be. And understanding the genre is critical for everybody, but especially for fiction authors. So we know this thing about fiction authors, generally speaking. Fiction authors love books, love lots of books, read lots of books, or fiction readers love their genre, especially, like, I'm going to talk about romance and rom-com because this is the most obvious example. Like, these readers just read and read and read and read, but they have very serious expectations about a book. They're willing to help out, they're willing to read, they're willing to review, they're willing to buy, they're willing to do all of those things as long as your book meets their expectations. So understanding the expectations of that genre and doing the things to make sure that you prepared yourself, that's a huge part of this. And that's not something that you can do when it's time to launch your book. That's something that you have to be doing a long time in advance. And we found this with Emily's, is a case study that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But here's the real thing about book launching, right? Especially if you're trying to go for lots of reviews, all of these types of things. When you do too many things, especially out of order, you end up stressed, exhausted, having inconsistent results, and basically just being depressed. So that's why we do our focus more on the traditional book launch, which gives us the time to build all of these things. And you have to remember, if it's your first book, you're probably not going to see thousands of reviews and thousands of sales. You may, I'm not putting in it, you know, saying that's not going to happen, because it has happened to some people, but they are the exception, not the rule. You have to understand how many people have to be buying your book to get reviews. You have to understand how many people have to be reading your book to get reviews. Your book has to be positioned in the places where people can get to it. All of these types of things. And this takes a long process to get there. And unless I refer back to the other types of launches, which is you're coming in for a different reason, a passion project, a rapid release for any one of your reasons, or a relaunch, or different reasons why you're getting your book out there, not for reviews and sales initially out the door. You have another plan in place. So your strategy, when you're thinking about your strategy, like, it's really important. I'm sorry, that keeps buzzing. I forgot to turn off my computer sound, but the strategy is going to be what you are living by as you prepare for your launch, but not just launch. Here's the thing, y'all. Your marketing does not end on launch day. Your marketing just grows on launch day. And that's why having a long-term plan is going to help you not be so exhausted when you get to launch time. I just showed you a book that's publishing in October. We've been working on things since last fall. So it's all happening in a very timely process, an organized process. We're not feeling overwhelmed. No one's, freaking out about anything, because we're following a timeline and a schedule and a strategy on what to do, having those goals that guide you first and foremost, so that you know what to put in your strategy, knowing those readers and that audience, and where you're going to be best suited to try and get in front of them, what your time frame is going to be. You have to be thinking about a budget. I am not ever going to tell you that you can market a book without spending any money. That's a ridiculous assumption. I'm sorry if that offends anyone in here, but there is money that has to be put out there no matter what, whether it's a website that you've created, or a tool that you're using, or creating graphics, or there's always going to be some level of money. Does it have to be $1 billion? No. Can you do it on a budget? Yes, but you have to think, what's important to me based on my strategy, and what am I going to budget for that? If trade reviews are really important for you, you should probably budget about $1,000 just for that. Yes. And, these are things that you have to be thinking about and planning for. Knowledge of your genre, we already covered. Creating and growing your platform. These are the things that happen all the way along the process. So when people tell me, I don't want to market my book, I'm busy writing, that kind of hurts my heart a little bit, because I know what the road is going to look for them when they're done with all of that. Marketing does not have to consume you when you're writing, but it should be something you're thinking about, and doing things to move yourself forward in the process. And then those key activities that you need to do along the way. Do you know the timelines, and understand that it may take them 12 weeks to get out those trade reviews? You need to have those when you're doing your marketing. So if you're trying to market your book and your trade reviews aren't coming in until 3 months after your launch, it will still be good for you. It's never bad to have them, but that's for the paid ones. People who are doing non-paid reviews won't even consider your book if it's already longer than if you're within the 4-month window before your launch. So these are things you have to be thinking about. That's why it's called a strategy. You sit down and you plan out what needs to happen for your launch. When you're considering your time frame, think about what stage is your book in. So I wanted to launch my book, 4 Days in Paris, my first romance coming out this year. I wanted to launch it in August. Originally, it was going to be a passion launch. So I had set a date for August 12th when I'm in, or the 10th, because I'm going to be in Paris. I thought, what a great thing to do, right? Well, then I realized, this is my first fiction book. It needs more work. I got the developmental edits back. I realized I have a lot of work left to put in this book. I'm not going to launch a book that's not ready to go. So I have postponed the launch, and I'm taking the time to do these things, but I didn't my rule is, do not set a launch date until you have it through editing, because or at least close to that process for fiction books. This isn't the case necessarily with children's books or fiction and memoir, it is, but for children's books and nonfiction that generally don't need a massive developmental edit, that's not always the case. But for fiction books, I think it's really important for you to not consider your launch time frame until you've gotten your book to a place where you know it's pretty good to go, and that you're not going to have another set of edits that's going to bump you back 6 months or anything like that. Is your book in its final format? That allows you to do a whole lot of things, getting it out to advanced readers, getting blurbs, getting endorsements, all those types of things. Same with basically the advanced reader copy is an unfinalized proof, basically. So it's the final format, but you know that there's room if somebody catches an error to make those changes. Are you trying to hit a specific goal date or deadline? I like to say to give yourself at least 3 months after you have that formatted, close to final book. So your action step is to think about where you are right now in your project, and then give yourself plenty of time. If you're still writing the book, I would say you're probably 6 to 9 to 12 months away from launch, unless you're one of the rapid or passion launchers, of course, if you're going for the traditional launch. And again, I caveat that with, if you have a large audience or email list, you may not need all of that time. It again goes back to the style of launch that you decide to do based on your goals. And those are the things that I cannot cookie cutter for you. Like, I can give you a framework of what needs to be done that's pretty general for a lot of authors. These are the things you should do. But when it comes down to these decisions, that's purely based on your goals and your personal strategy. Budget, considering your budget. We like to do about 30 print copies to give to influencers and review tours. I budget for about $500 on that. That's including shipping to get it to them and things like that. Depending on your book, that may be way less or way more. I think Goodreads has raised their price, but it's still in that under $150 range. I'm going to show you an example of why we love Goodreads giveaways in a slide coming up. That, to me, if you're on a low budget and trying to figure out where your best bang for your buck is, do a Goodreads giveaway. Hiring a VA or someone to help you with your marketing and all of those things, that can run you. It depends on what their hourly rate is and how long they work for you. So wide range of budget there. Marketing and ad spend, depending on what you're doing, $1,000 might be ridiculously low. $1,000 may be more than you need. There's some really great marketing and ad spend tools out there that don't break the bank and have pretty good returns on investments. Are you going to have a party or event? I strongly encourage you, now that we're all getting together in person again, to do an in-person event. Order your books, have books ready. People buy books at events way more than they are likely to just go to Amazon and buy your book. So, there they are. They're with you. I don't know if it's a guilt thing or what, but, and then paid promos, review sites, your budget, depending on what you want to do on those. And then I didn't even add in the trade reviews in there. That's a whole nother bucket, but they run anywhere between $200 to $500 a piece, depending on the site. So your action steps are the areas you'll think you'll need help with more than anything else. And think about what types of things that you want to invest in as you're doing your marketing, or if you need any of these things, and then put together your budget. Comp titles and knowledge of your genre, as I've discussed a little bit, is really important for you to do when it comes to positioning your book and when it comes to talking to readers and knowing where to show up in front of readers, and knowing how to get people to understand what your book is like, especially when it comes to pitching it for trade reviews or editorial reviews, having an idea, or if you're trying to get an agent or a publisher, knowing what else is in your genre, what's doing well, how your book compares, where your book fits in the marketplace. All of those are really important for those things, but it's also great for you to be aware of who else is in your sphere that's doing really, really well. You want to watch. If you're a rom-com, you should be following Kiki Mojo on Instagram. That's Emma St. Clair. You should be seeing what she's doing. And you don't have to do exactly what she does, but look at the kinds of things she's posting. Look at other authors that are doing well, and how they're doing their social media marketing. How are they putting themselves out into the world? How are they doing their marketing? Get on their email list. Do these types of things. What makes your book different is an important way to be able to talk about it when you're comparing it to other books. So I've written this health and wellness book, and it's about clean eating, but my book is different because it's not about recipes and how to eat clean. It's about how eating clean heals your body. So how, there's other books out there. How is yours different? And then how do you stand out or fit in with those? So I think Amazon is a wonderful resource and for doing research like this, but you can use any other site as well to see what's out there. The Amazon is easier because you can see all of the rankings and all of the categories and all of those types of things, and allows you to follow authors, where you should definitely follow authors, because then you get notified when they're launching new books, and you can be and you should be encouraging people to follow you. That is such a great sales tool that Amazon offers authors at zero cost. That's setting up your Amazon author account and encouraging people to follow you, because we get busy. And as much as I love certain authors, I'm not following them like to the T of everything that they're doing. But when Amazon sends me an email and says, hey, guess what? This author that you're following just launched a new book. You don't know how many books I have bought because of that Amazon email. So that's a free resource for you to use and to do well with it. Okay. Let's see. Growing your author platform is not something I'm going to get into today, because this would be a 7-hour presentation. But you have to be growing your author platform. I use this example in every webinar I give, so somebody can probably tell you what I'm about to say, but we do not sell cheeseburgers. We are not McDonald's. I am not selling a cheeseburger that someone's going to buy one today and then tomorrow decide they want another cheeseburger, and then the next day take their family and get cheeseburgers. We have one thing, maybe more if you've got lots of books out there, but people don't buy our books every day, the same book over and over and over and over. They buy it once or they check it out of the library. So you have to constantly be adding people. And there's a million ways to do this, and lots of ways. Now everybody wants a cheeseburger. Lots of ways to go find people, but this isn't something that just happens overnight, y'all. This takes thought and a plan and thinking about how to get out there, and there's no magic pill to this. There really isn't. Like, you just have to do the work. But the exciting part is that it gets easier with time. And if you're taking consistent steps and little steps, all you have to do right now is decide one thing. Where do I think my audience is? And how do you know this? Because you should be a reader of your genre, and you should kind of know what readers of that genre like. I can give you a blanket statement right now. If your reader is in the age group of 30 plus, you're gonna find them on Instagram in almost all genres. If you're 30, maybe 35 plus, they're on Facebook. But Facebook now we're using mostly for ads and things like that. If they're under 30, they're probably going to be still on TikTok, possibly getting down to maybe the 25 range, but I mean on Instagram, but TikTok and other platforms that are out there. So thankfully, I don't write for the youngins, so I don't have to figure out all the new bells and whistles that are coming out, except for I have to figure them out a little bit so that I can talk about them. But if social media is not your thing, like, you need to at least have a presence there, because people look for you on social media. If I'm listening to a podcast and you're the guest, as an example, I'm going to look to see how I can follow you. So I use Instagram primarily. I will look to see if I can find you on Instagram. Even if you're not posting regularly, you should have your account there so people can follow you. So I'm not, again, podcasts are a great way to get in front of readers, going to author events, going to participate in different types of things. Like, there's a lot of ways to do this. Blogging, submitting articles to post. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of ways, but you have to think about what's going to be the best bang for your buck, where you're going to get in front of the right people. So where do you want to be growing your fan base? How can you get in front of new people? And you have to think about that. I can't answer that question for you today. It would take too long. In a nutshell, your launch strategy is going to be primarily for one thing: creating as much buzz as possible in the 1 to 12 months prior to your launch. I put 1 with an asterisk because that really makes me sick to my stomach to think of anybody trying to do all these things in 1 month. The minimum, I will not work with a client who's lower than 3 months to launch. And that's if their book is basically ready to go. If it's not ready to go, our timeline is 6, 9, 12 or longer, because there's just so much that has to be done on the traditional launch. Again, I always caveat that with, if you're going for one of the quick launches, then it's a different scenario. But buzz, 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 buzz. Readers, reviewers, creating that buzz. Retailers, getting in front of retailers, growing that audience. And that growing your audience does not necessarily mean Instagram or TikTok. I will say growing that audience can also be things like getting in front of retailers, librarians, or other places through a variety of strategies. But social media is huge right now. It's where people are looking. And it really, to right now, still stands to be a very important piece of launch, although it's not an overnight success. And I've seen many people saying it's so much of a struggle to grow social media and all of that stuff. So you have to think outside of the box. If your account's not growing, how do you get partnerships with people who do have big accounts, and how do you leverage them? So who is in your genre that's doing really well in those places, and how can you ask them how you can collaborate with them, how you can potentially be a guest, go live with them, or other things where they help put you in front of their audience. It's a very big time commitment. And again, when you're deciding where your efforts should go, you have to decide what you want to do. And this is why we start so far in advance building these audiences, because it's very frustrating once your book has launched to try and do this, to try and find these people after the book is out there. You can put, for pre-release, you can put ebooks on Amazon and other places on pre-order. Is it bad manners to tell reviewers what to put in review? Yes, you should. Well, okay, you should never tell people what to put in a review. You should. What I like to tell people though is, first of all, never ever tell them, say that they got their book in exchange for a review, because that's a big no-no on Amazon. Because you're never giving a book in exchange for a review. A review is requested. And then I would say what I generally put in an email, or tell people to put in an email, is say, listen, if you have major problems with this book, I would appreciate it if you would reach out to me rather than destroying me on social media, destroying me on a review. But I will tell you that we've had cases in the past where we've had reviewers reach out and say, I just read this book. I wanted to talk to you because I can't give it higher than a 2-star review, and this is why. And we actually encourage them to leave the review, because her reason for leaving that review, there was a word choice and verbiage in the book that might also upset other people. So we said, we appreciate you very much checking in with us. I would go leave that review, because we want other people to know that this could be a problem for them as well. And so sometimes it really, really depends. But if it's somebody who's just being snarky, we ask them to let us know what the issues are with the book. Okay. Lynn, I don't know why your publisher keeps moving your launch date. My guess is they're having issues in production, and they want to make sure that they've got to that things are in place on time. Maybe things were slower through the process, and they have other things that they want to make sure are getting done. But if they're moving the launch date, it's probably for your best benefit, because they want to make sure that it's the best launch possible. Okay. Sherry, for a traditional launch, again, your timeline is going to be set by you on what you want to achieve in that. If you are trying to get trade reviews that require receiving the book 4 to 6 months in advance, then yes, your time frame would be 6 to 9 months post completion of the ARC copy. If that's not part of your strategy, it can be 3 months. Okay, let's talk about some of the fun stuff. So many of you in our community know Emily A. Myers. She was a Write, Publish, Sell author. We launched her first book, The Truth About Unspeakable Things. She took everything that she learned in her process with us and through Book Launch in a Box and through her engagement in our community. And she did her second book on her own, but we did have close contact with her and always like to see our clients do well. And so I asked her, since I'm not part of the launch and I wasn't watching all the things, I asked her to send over some details about what happened with her launch, and she sent over some really great things. So the strategy that we used on the first book and that she also used on the second book was a long-term social media plan, a very aggressive Instagram presence, email strategy, growing her email and communicating through that. She did do an ARC campaign. She had over 200 downloads through BookFunnel, and then added those folks, encouraged those folks to join her launch team. She did run Goodreads giveaways of her first book. So this is a second book in a series, and she ran a couple of Goodreads giveaways of her and paid promos of her first book to keep it active and growing while she was getting ready to promote this one, but also ran a Goodreads giveaway of the second one. Did a lot of cross promo between the two books, really speaking to the audience that loved the first one. and also trying to find new folks to come in. And then she does fun swag. She sent out 20 book boxes to influencers that had a book and some other gifts and things in them. Whoops, sorry. Okay, yep, I was ready for that. So this is the stats from her Goodreads giveaway, and you can see she ran 2 of them. I'm guessing one was of The Truth About Unspeakable Things, the earlier one, and then in April, she ran the one on the second, Bound by the Unspeakable. And you can see what happens when you run these giveaways. So if you're not familiar with Goodreads, basically it's a social media platform for people who love to read and review books. It's not super social, but you do have a wall where people can see what's happening, and all this stuff is going on. Anyway, when somebody adds a book to their shelves or adds it as want to read, it shows up in other people's news feeds. So this is a great way to grow some activity on your book. So, you know, that you can see she had a lot of people add it to the shelves. And I'm sorry, this is one giveaway. So this would be when the giveaway started, and then obviously a bunch of people at the end there too. You can follow her at Emily Myers Author if you're a fiction author, and particularly romantic suspense, because she posts some great stuff, is really, really good on her Instagram. A wonderful example of what you can do. When we started working with her in February of 2021, she had 344 Instagram followers, and as of today, she has 1,640. So you can see it's a slow growth, but it's a good growth. And she said that she had a lot of people share about her book on Instagram, which we have no way of seeing how that connects to sales later, but it gets the book in front of people's eyes and gets them talking about it. So she shared her results. She had over 200 ebook arcs distributed. She sent out the 20 influencer boxes. She grew about 200 new email subscribers in that time frame. Right now, her book just launched a few weeks ago, and she's got 29 reviews on. She had 29 reviews on Goodreads at the time and 11 on Amazon. So it's slowly growing, but she's also marketing her other book, and now she's up to 290 reviews on Goodreads and 263 on Amazon for the first book. So in comparison, she sold about the same amount of books at both launches. But what's interesting is, because it's the second book in a series, there's going to be people going back and buying the first book now because they want to see what happened in the first book. So she did not do a free download day with the second book, but she did one with the free book download on the first launch and got 1977 downloads. And the interesting thing here is that look how many more page reads she's had on the second book, double the page reads even without the free download. How do you get these page reads? It's when your book is in you can see how many people are reading the Kindle version, and when it's available in oh my gosh, Kindle Select, people can check it out for free basically, and they read it, and then you get paid per page reads. So having more and more page reads is really, really good. All right, so we're looking at the Goodreads again. This is where people are leaving. This was on the right. We have how many ratings and reviews she had right around her launch for the first book a year ago, and the current ratings and reviews on Goodreads right now. Okay, that was fiction. So again, one of the things I'm going to go back a slide, but one of the things she said was so important was really understanding how to speak to her audience and to know how to get her book in front of people that like romantic suspense. There's an underlying romance, but it's a suspenseful thriller book as well. And really getting that marketing down and showing up in the right places in front of those things has been very, very helpful to her. All right, so now for children's books that just launched in March. This is one of our Purple Butterfly Press books. Over 1,500 paperback copies sold at this point in time, 200 hardcover or more. And She has 62 ratings on Goodreads, 57 reviews. Some of our marketing strategy there was to run an ad through IBPA, an IBPA flyer that they sent out in an e-blast and then in print copy to retailers and librarians. She has 47 ratings currently on Amazon. So we're so close to that 50 review mark, which is where it's like the golden number. And we used NetGalley as well, which had we had 43 reviews on NetGalley, and a lot of those folks do go on to leave a review in other places. And the great part about it is that you also get an email list of anyone who requested your book. And if they want you to reach out to them, you can. So she's got some librarians and retailers that said they wanted her to reach out to them. So we will be doing that for sure. All right, a nonfiction example. So nonfiction is tough, you guys, especially this is a beautiful book. It was endorsed by Deepak Chopra, but it was hard to market. Why? Well, because it's inspirational, but it's about grief and loss, but it's more than grief and loss. It's about really inspiring people. It's a beautiful book, beautiful fables, beautiful illustrations, just an absolutely wonderful book, but so hard to market because it falls in multiple categories. For example, is it fiction or nonfiction? We don't know, because fables are clearly fiction, but the crux of the book was also poems and letters that she wrote to her son, and it's all based on a real story. So it was positioning was really, really hard. But we did a very aggressive media campaign, editorial reviews, got some great trade reviews, sent it every place we could think of. She had lots of endorsements and advanced praise. It was on NetGalley, Edelweiss, and BookFunnel. Her social media campaign was really strong, good pre-order campaign. And we were working on this for at least 10 months. I think it might have been a little bit longer as well. She also did a print run, so it was traditionally distributed. She did get a Kirkus starred review. And what we learned from this, people ask all the time, should I do a Kirkus review? Is it worth it? Well, if you get a star, you're highlighted in all kinds of special and fun ways, but also they put all of the starred books in one competition, one contest, and the winner gets $40,000. So fingers crossed on that competition for her book. But, here's the thing. Book sales don't always indicate, book sales on Amazon and bookstores don't always indicate the health of what's happening with your book, right? Because sometimes in a situation like this, her book does very, very, very well when she's live in front of an audience and can share her story and talk about what's going on. But it was picked up by a lot of libraries. Right now, it's showing, when I did a quick search the other day, it's showing in 29 different libraries, which is fantastic. We'll continue to work on growing that. And she was also included in a library e-blast and things like that. But she is out there doing what she can to get in bookstores and having signing events where she can talk to people about the book. And she just posted yesterday, she had a book signing at Barnes and Noble. It was so successful, they booked her again for August. She's also got one booked in Boulder in June 13th and a whole bunch of others coming up. Books, these are other ways to get out and to sell your books. Barnes and Noble right now and many bookstores are very, very open to indie authors and to local authors. So don't give up just because we didn't see the sales we had hoped to see on Amazon at launch. However, she's out there and she's selling books left and right now because she is out there talking and getting people to engage with her personally. All right, this one is launching next week, and I'm really excited about this, Emma's Sunflower. It's Philippa's second book. She did Rupert Snowman first, and then, yes, you can absolutely do virtually and have an impact, but it's harder. So we connect with influencers. She's got all kinds of fun stuff going on her social media and activities and all kinds of things. We had her on NetGalley. She had 46 reviews there. And you guys might be thinking, oh, this looks bad. You guys, the 4-star review average on NetGalley. If you've never used NetGalley before, one thing you have to know is that they are tough reviewers. A 4-star is good. It's very good. Like, a lot of people don't just give 5-star reviews. It's very common to get 3 and 4 stars on NetGalley, and that's just something you have to be prepared for when you use it. But so we're very happy with 46 with an average of 4-star. We're doing a book blitz at the end at next month where it'll go out over Instagram. She's got all kinds of swag. We just sent out books with stickers and sunflower seeds and all kinds of things. And again, this was a long project. And so already before launch, she's got 36 ratings and 34 reviews on Goodreads. And then I talked about Layla Held for a moment ago, or at the beginning, but this one comes out in October. And again, she is doing a phenomenal job of outreach to other grief writers and groups, getting endorsements through that, doing the editorial submissions. She's writing a bunch for online media outlets, publishing articles, and even serialization of chapters. So again, you'll see it's the same type of strategy that we use. Lots of arcs, lots of getting it in front of reviewers and readers, paying for the right promotions, setting up promos, long pre-order campaigns and timelines. And finally, we have another children's book, The Crystal Beads. I talked about Pat's book a little earlier, but Pat has been doing phenomenally with making connections with interest groups, Jewish groups, Holocaust museums, and doing all the things to make sure that people know about her book. And we're just really excited about the launch of this one. Basic, same strategy. You'll see editorial reviews, trade reviews, paid promos, connecting with influencers, outreach, connections. And so far she's got 35, and hers is getting all 5 stars, which we are super excited about. It's just such a beautiful book about the Holocaust and the hidden children in the Holocaust. So she's already up to 67 ratings and 64 reviews ahead of launch. So marketing's long. It requires connections, relationships, strategy, money, consistent actions, all of these types of things, implementing best practices. So I told you all I would talk about Book Launch in a Box, and I want to go through that really quickly because first I want to know, is there anybody interested in hearing about how we teach these strategies and what we do? It's our program, Book Launch in a Box. So if you want to hear more, I'm going to tell you more. Okay, and then I'll get all the rest of your as many questions answered as I can. All right, so what we love to do is helping other people smash their book launches too, and smash in a very positive way, right? We want to destroy it in the best way. So Book Launch in a Box is our advanced marketing program. It was a 4-week program the last 3 times we've run it, and we've decided it's just not enough time to teach what we're trying to teach. So we made it into a 12-week program. I'm going to tell you right now who it's not for. It's not for the rapid launchers. I can't teach you what I teach, the traditional launch strategy. So if you're already seeing tons of sales, you don't need this. You're already doing what you need to do. And it's not for people who just want to hire someone to do all the work for them. I encourage everybody to learn the process. I'm not saying you shouldn't hire people to work with you. I have a whole team who implements this stuff for me. I'm a very pro hire people to help you, but not hire people to know the strategy. You need to know as the author what's happening and why. And then once you understand that, you can find the right people to help you do that. If you have no time, it's not for you. It's based on the time that you can put into it. But if you're already like, oh my gosh, I have no capacity in the next 3 months, then wait until next summer, or, join us in WIP school where you can get kind of mini stuff. But, and it's also, I really don't encourage anyone who's launching before August, unless you have the flexibility to extend your launch time out. But we want to make sure that you have as much time to implement the stuff as possible. So we're encouraging anyone who's launching between about September of this year and August of next year. And all the work does not have to be done during the 12 weeks. Let me put it to you there. Like, this is not designed to do all of the stuff I just talked about in 12 weeks. It's designed to teach you the process to be doing the things that we're going to be doing. So we have a great, exciting lineup prepared with guest speakers and with content and with special bonuses and for things that you can use to help you in the process. So fundamental 1, the way it's going to work, just so you know, is the first week. So it goes over 12 weeks. It's actually 13 weeks because we're taking the whole week of July 4th off. I know that's it doesn't impact everybody if you're not in the US, but that's a big vacation week in the US. So that week will be off. But basically the way it works is there's 6 fundamentals. And with each of these fundamentals, there's going to be a week where your content drops. So in most cases, the content will be pre-recorded modules that you can go in anytime during that week and you can watch the training. Then the next week is our implementation week. In that implementation week, we will have a Q&A session with the expert who provided the training, or experts if there's more than one expert. We will have what we call co-working opportunities, where we'll set up a Zoom room and people can come in and work together on this stuff. That you guys, there's so much power in coming together as a group of authors, because we all have knowledge that helps work with each other. And we've learned this in WIP school a lot. A children's book author may have heard of a promo tool that this fiction author has never heard of and really or has tried something, it comes together. So we'll have those co-working hours, and those co-working hours will be set up after we know who's in the program and what your time and availability is, so that you can attend at least one of those. The Q&A sessions will be dependent on the schedule of the presenter, but we will try and vary the times. Again, with this one, you'll be able to watch the training on your own time, and you'll be able to submit questions in advance too, if you're not able to attend the Q&A live. And what we always do is we read those questions first, so that if you can't attend live, you don't have to listen to the whole Q&A to try and find out when your question was answered. Okay, so the bonuses that come along with this one are a workshop on Pam Shepard is going to come in. She's spent 30 years in the bookseller world. She's an editor. She is very, very in touch with positioning your book. So we're going to be talking about proper positioning in the market, and do some other training on the positioning of your book as well. Let's see. Then your next bonus is a comp title research workshop that she's done. We're going to include that in there so that you can understand that. And we have other bonuses too, but those are the 2 key ones for this. Then fundamental 2 is all about creating buzz with retailers and libraries, because at the end of the day, these are the folks that are going to expand your book out there in the world, right? If retailers and libraries don't know about your book, and oh, by the way, that's fundamental 1, is going to make sure that you are positioned properly so that retailers and libraries can get your book, because so many folks don't have the things in place so that librarians and retailers can actually even access your book. So that's part of the positioning, but then creating that buzz. So our big bonus is our trade and editorial review spreadsheet, where we are putting together the places that we submit. And then a tip sheet template. When you're submitting to trade reviews, many of them request a tip sheet, which is similar to a sales sheet, but sometimes asks for different information. So we're going to give you that tip sheet so that you can participate in that. Let's see. Fundamental 3, creating buzz for consumer reviews and talking about the launch team. So we'll be talking about how you find those reviewers and how you manage that team and what you need to do to get into that. So we've got a curated spreadsheet of book bloggers and Instagrammers, bookstagrammers that we have been building over the last 3 years. And we're going to share that with you all. And let me tell you, that in itself is probably worth the cost of the program. I'm telling you, I probably spent that much money in putting it together. But there's no guarantee. Obviously, you can outreach. These are it's your starting point for you to outreach to these folks. And then we're also going to schedule a special session where we can co-write the ARC email sequence together, so that we can talk about some of these things, like how do we tell people what we want them to do. We have a template for you, but if you want some that you'll be provided as well. But if you want some more, like, let's get together and talk about how do I address this particular audience, or what do I say, we'll do that together. Fundamental 4 is all about the messaging. So this is really getting into talking about 2 things: how you're messaging your book, like how you're describing your book to people, what your hooks and log lines are. We've got a bonus workshop Some of you saw it in the summit, so you'll have already seen this, but if not, that's included as an additional bonus. And then also a bonus about content strategy workshop. So if you're thinking about writing blogs, newsletters, blogs for other outlets, submissions to magazines or things like that, all about that, because those are other ways that you can get out in front of other people. So we're talking about messaging in two ways. That's confusing, but messaging and how you talk about your book, but also messaging and how you talk about globally as you're getting out there and talking about you and your book and the messaging that you're doing to bring in the right audience. So I'm excited about that one. That fundamental, skipped one. Fundamental 5 is expanding your reach. So we're really going to be talking about, you get the paid promo workshop that we did. And then we're going to be talking about how to get further that expanse in your marketing by maybe collaborations with other authors, maybe joint ventures, partnerships, all the things like that. How can you leverage other people's audiences? So using social media, not just posting your own little thing here and there, but leveraging what's out there and really getting farther and farther out than what you can reach on your own. And running those paid promos are a really great way to do that as well. That's not in your social media, but attracts other people. So there's a couple different lessons that will come out through this one. And then this, I tell you what, I do not know what happens with my Mac and this Google doc, but they don't like each other. And then the final fundamental is fundamental 6 is visibility. And we have another special guest that's coming in to teach this module. She is a media specialist. She was a journalist for years and years. She teaches authors specifically how to show up, how to grow their platform, how to get out in front of other people. And she's giving a special pricing for her visibility accelerator. She also has another bonus that we haven't nailed down yet, but there will be plenty of great bonuses included with this as well. Okay, so this is the link. I don't think I have a team member here anymore. So let me stop my share. Exit out of this so that I can give you guys the link. We do have a coupon code right now for 20% off. And I'm going to drop that in there as well. So this is the link and the coupon code is right here. All right, so that's dropped in there. And now I'm going to go back to sharing my presentation so I can show you guys everything. Okay, so our fast acting bonus, I've seen a couple people type in that they're already working on their book launch in a box basics. What is this? So I remember I told you that it used to be a 4-week program. It was, and it was focused on very different things. It was focused on starting your social media, setting up your landing page on your website, making sure that you have an email CRM and getting all that stuff. So very, very basic, but important fundamentals that need to be happening before you can do a lot of these other things. So we are giving that for free. It's something that you can you'll get access to as soon as you purchase, and you can start going through those and seeing what you need. If you don't need it, then just ignore those emails. But it's very, very helpful in helping you get set up so that when we start into the program on June 13th, which I didn't put that on there, that's when it officially, the first week starts with the first round of content, that you will have, an email CRM, that you will have started your Instagram account, that you'll have done some of these things so that, because I don't want to say it's wasting time. It's not a waste of time at all. It's very, very important, but we want to keep focused on the things that we're talking about in these modules, because just these modules are a ton of information. So I wanted to give that to people so they would have those other things already set up. And then Reels, because Instagram is such a phenomenal place for authors, and Reels are really the thing that are catching fire right now. Raywin has created some launch template Reels. So basically this means she's created and with instructions on how to use them so that you can create reels for Instagram to use for your launch. So those are the fast acting bonuses plus the 20% off, which ends, if you are in WIP school, please remember you have a special link with a different discount. So please make sure you go back to your email that I sent that out in. And if you don't have that, email us and we'll get that for you. But it's 20% off until the 22nd with these 2 extra bonuses. And the reason that one goes away on the 22nd is because you don't have enough time to implement it past that. I mean, you could, some of you, I don't know. But anyway, that's our deadline for now. So I told you it goes bonkers on me and then just takes over. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. There's the coupon code again, in case anyone missed it. And the link, and I can post this if anyone's watching on the Facebook group. I don't know if I have anyone over there helping out, but if you're on Facebook, I'll post this link later. Okay, so if you've been around in our webinars, you've seen these testimonials. I'm hoping to have a whole slew of new testimonials next year, but Christina, who's one of our favorite people and to date our most successful children's book author with all of her books selling, so she says it's a perfect course to hone in on our target reader, discuss and plan marketing strategies, and prepare for a successful book launch. Setting goals, growing your email list, all of those types of things. But her favorite part was connecting with and supporting other authors, and we do a whole lot of that. Kim's a great success story. She launched her book not long after last year's rendition of Book Launch in a Box. She implemented everything as fast as she could. She got out there. She hit multiple new #1 releases in a couple of different categories. And then she has gone on to implement TikTok strategies. And so you think to yourself, TikTok's only for, fiction books or whatever, but she is a nonfiction parenting author. And I checked out her TikTok account the other day, and she's got some content out there that has 40 and 50,000 views on it. And she's just out there talking to her audience about parenting stuff. So, I'm super proud of Kim and all that she has accomplished. Pat, we talked a lot about Pat today, but she also went through Book Launch in a Box last year. That's how she got to know us and our community and decided to publish through Purple Butterfly Press. So we absolutely love Pat and cannot wait to see what happens with her book launch in June. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening. Okay, so it decided to go through my last couple slides there all at once. But some of our other participants in the past, these are their books. And we're thrilled to do this. As I said in the beginning, this is what I really, really enjoy doing. And we give a lot of ourselves through this program. And one of the biggest reasons I wanted to slow it down to a 12-week program is because, one, we're focusing on different things than we focused in the first round. So if you went through old B Lab, you might still want to come through this one. And just because of the time that it takes to do this stuff well, unless you are going for the short launch. So let's talk quickly. Let me go through and see if there's any questions in here that I missed, because the link didn't show up. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. This is one of those cases where I really wish, somebody posted it for me. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, whoever saved me on there. I just sent it to the hosts and panelists because that's always Zoom's default. But here, I'll drop that one more time just to make sure. I appreciate, see, we have each other's backs. And you know what? I'm just gonna say this. That's one of the best parts of our community, hands down, is somehow we have managed to attract some of the most amazing humans on this planet, and the value that you all pour into us is, I think, as wonderful as hopefully what we're giving you all too. So anyway, I know there's a lot of people in our WIP school program here today, and I'm so grateful and to you all, and I just wanted to say that publicly. Okay, let me go through these questions. So an audiobook launch, how does an audiobook launch fit in was the question. And it would fit in not like all of the other things, in the extent that you're not going to be getting trade reviews and all those kinds of things. I would put, for an audiobook, if it's a relaunch and you're adding the audiobook, I would put a lot of emphasis on reaching back out to previous launch team members, on reaching out to your email list, and on finding places that promote audiobooks specifically. You can put it on NetGalley as an audiobook. There's a, I think it's called Chirp. I can't remember. There's a couple of audiobook promotion sites, and I would do that kind of thing, getting it out there, and hopefully it will drive some traffic to your other versions too. Okay, I continue to have a really hard time getting this to apply for middle grade readers. So yes, this is challenging. Middle grade is tough, Diane, because, but at the end of the day, you're marketing to the parents, to the person buying the book, but it has to be done in a way that they feel like it's something their kids would love. So trying to find a paid promo list that has a high middle grade function out there, trying to find review sites that look at middle grade books. And honestly, you really, really, really want to get in with middle school librarians and schools as much as you can. And I know that's it. Middle grade is tough. We launched a middle grade book last year, and it was very difficult marketing. Tatiana, you can only set up a relaunch as a pre-order if you're setting it. For example, we are doing this right now. We have a book called Hi, It's Me, I Have ADHD. It's selling wonderfully well. There's no reason to relaunch it for marketing, but it's selling so well, we decided to run a print run, because for any of you children's book authors out there, you understand this. The rest of you may not understand this, but when you're doing children's book on print on demand for a hardcover book, it's like $10 to print through print on demand. So, and the paperback is really expensive too. So in order to still be able to give the retailer discounts and all of that, the books have to be really expensive. And at the end of the day, you're making like 30 cents a book, which is really not cool for children's book authors, because the investment with illustrations and all of that, blah, blah, blah. So we decided to do a print run and distribute it traditionally through distribution that way. And so we just today are getting the pre-order set up for the new version of the book, but it has a new ISBN and new ISBNs, and we're taking down the old version. We're running a pre-order campaign for 2 months. Because that's how long it takes for the distributor to get it into all the places, and then we'll see how that goes. So yes, you can, but generally you're going to want to either have a cover change or a change to the interior, have a new ISBN, and if you're going to do a pre-order campaign, then you would basically have to relaunch it like a brand new book. But I've seen people do that before, and it's not a bad idea if you want to go back and do all of these other things again, update the copyright date, do all of that, launch it like a brand new book, and you can absolutely do that. All right, a lot of these sites and platforms can't be set up until we have a book published or ready for pre-sale. So what's the size of a window past launch to get that prime attention for reviews? Okay, so Charlene, that goes back into your pre-order strategy and all of that kind of stuff. An ebook you can put on pre-order without a final file. All you have to do is have the cover file. So you can put that book on pre-order, and you can have the ebook out there, and having the ebook out there generally allows you to set up your Goodreads, set up your Amazon author, all of those types of things. But for the trade reviews, you have to get them either an ebook final, like a pretty close, an ARC copy. So they recognize that it may not have had the final proofing done on it, but you have to get them either an ebook or a print book for the bigger trade reviews and editorial reviews, generally 4 to even 6 months in advance. Now, the paid ones, if you're going for a paid review through any of the sites, which still count the same way, you can submit those a month before launch, on launch day, after launch, whenever you want to, but it doesn't give you that opportunity to have those as your marketing in advance to give some credibility behind you. You have a client who wants to send out ARC copies. Do you put something on the cover to indicate? I think I saw somebody answer this one, but yes, we, I don't know if you remember the cover that we just showed for, I don't have any of mine right, but yes, we put a little badge on the front of the cover that says advanced reader copy, not for resale. And we don't use the ISBN. We use a SKU, a non-SKU barcode, Yeah, however that word is. We don't use the ISBN so that they're not resellable books. Let's see. If Amazon decides to restrict reviews to verified purchases, their hope for that restriction comes off after a certain amount of time. I'm not sure what the time frame is, but they don't hold it hostage forever. Just enough time to slow that down. Should we do Goodreads giveaway in pre-launch on launch day or after? You can do Goodreads giveaways whenever you want to, but our strategy on Goodreads giveaways is to start them 2 to 3 weeks prior to launch and end them 2 to 3 days before launch. That way it's building up anticipation before the launch, and then people get notified that they did or didn't win right before launch. So if they really want the book, our hope is that they go over and buy it right away. Do you have guidance as far as how many books is a good amount to sell at launch within the first year after 5 years? Okay. So there are lots of stats going out that that are based on a lot of market research showing that now these haven't been updated in a while, and I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of changes that have been made. But yes, that from what I have read, that is a fairly accurate statement that most independent, most self-published authors are not selling more than 250 copies of a book in a lifetime. Again, that's been a couple years. I would love for them to do some updates on that, but there's so many, it's really hard to track that data with people publishing in so many different ways. They do it based off of ISBNs, but for a person who has done, you have to remember though, a lot of people just throw a book on Amazon and call that good to go. If you're going through something like this, you're doing the training, you're doing extra things, you're doing all the work and setting yourself up for success, it's reasonable for you to expect about 200 to 500 print copies during a launch window, whether that's a month or 2 months, depending on how much activity and marketing and all that stuff went into it. Excuse me, Christina Dankert, who I showed you the kindness machine. We did heavy duty marketing. It's a good topic. Kindness is something everybody's talking about right now. Her school and her community were very involved. She did a lot of media outreach. She had in-person events and things like that. And her books, I just had to do a second print run on her books. Her book published in March, and we'd already sold out the first 1,000 copies, plus she ordered 500 copies, plus she's ordered another 500 copies for events. So it's very possible to sell far more than that, but it's work, and it's getting in position in the right places and being at the right places and doing the right things. And the positioning of your book is so important. If your book is not, and you're through a publisher, Sandy, so your book should be positioned properly. But for a lot of authors, they're just not set up for retailers to even be able to buy them and get them in quantities. And even so, I'm still going to tell you that even going through traditional distribution, like the majority of the book sales still that we have seen came through Amazon. So that's not to say that you shouldn't make them available for other places, but just what we saw. Don't the sales figures you are showing for these authors include giveaways, which count as sales? No, giveaways don't count as sales. So giveaways are just books that we purchased to the side. We purchase our copies through Ingram generally, and we send those out at our own cost. Those are not sales. Do you need to be published to be listed as an author on Amazon? Yes, your book has to at least be in pre-order. Let's see. I'm going to pop down to the bottom. Just does your course include the help on marketing, etc.? Yes, it's basically all marketing, Nora. It's we are digging into, because all these things that I've talked about today, trade reviews, that's part of marketing. Positioning your book, that's part of marketing. Showing up on social, that's marketing. Visibility, that's marketing. Promo, like that's what we are covering in there. Do we cover what and how paid reviews are? Yep, that's a big part of our focus. Let's see here. I'm a dad who wrote a children's book. My daughter is a graphic design graduate, magna cum laude. Congratulations, Iowa State. all my family went to Iowa State. I'm originally from Iowa. Go Cyclones. So well, I did not go to Iowa State. She did the illustrations. Can we participate in this program? Absolutely. Absolutely, Elliot. I would love to have another Iowa person in there. So we'll be talking as long as you're preparing for the launch, like, and doing and ready to on the timeline that we're talking about. It doesn't matter to me. If your book is well done and you're happy with it, then yeah, sure. Do you teach or do it for? Oh no, we don't do it for you. We charge about 10 to 15 grand to do it for people. if that's an option you'd like to go with, we'll do it for you, but not through this program. And let me clarify, this is not a self-publishing program. This is not a self-publishing 101. We are not talking about how to load your book to Ingram's. It may come into discussion if we're in one of the Q&As and we're talking about positioning, and we have some workshops and some additional training that we can provide to people. But Book Launch in a Box is not self-publishing in a box. It is all about the marketing and what you need to do to prepare yourself for marketing. So I want to be very, very clear on that. I don't want anybody disappointed thinking that they're coming into this program and we're going to show you how to publish your book. It has nothing to do with the publishing piece, although that may come up in conversation. Kimberly, I'll get you that link for the discount. Is it worth getting on podcasts to build an email list? Podcasts are gold, y'all. They are so gold, because think about it. And they have an audience of engaged listeners who trust that podcast host. I don't know if any of you all listen to the Publish Her podcast. It's Publish Her with 2 H's podcast, but it's our podcast that we started through the summit, and then just on writing, publishing, and selling. But if you're a listener, and you can Google it if you want to know how to find it, Publish Her with 2 H's, one word. If you're a listener to that podcast, you listen because you trust me as a presenter, and you trust that I'm going to bring in good people to come in and talk to you about this stuff. So when I bring in a guest and they're talking about something of interest to you, you're automatically at a level of trust, know, like, and trust factor that's higher than in a lot of other places, because you're like, okay, if this person that I trust is bringing in this person to talk about them, then I'm already at a certain place, right? And then if they're listening to you, so you're going to pitch podcasts that have your target audience as in mind, right? So I'm not going to talk to podcasts that love thriller books, because that's not my audience, unless they're writers, but they're probably not. If they like true crime and listening to true crime, they're probably not trying to figure out how to write their book, right? I'm pitching podcasts to go beyond, that have writers as their audience, so that I can talk to them about what I do, give them some knowledge and education. If I was a thriller writer, I would try and find places where people who like thriller books or authors are going and all that kind of stuff. So as I'm being interviewed and we're talking about things and people are getting to know and like me, then they're like, okay, I like this person, I'm going to go follow her on Instagram. They may not automatically go buy your book unless they're like, that's the best book I've ever heard of. And then they do immediately. And this is why pre-orders are so important when you're doing podcasts and things like this ahead of time, because immediately, if I'm listening to a podcast and I'm like, that book sounds amazing, and I go straight to wherever I buy books from, and I type it up. And if it's not there tomorrow, I've already forgotten about it. That's how it goes. So yes, podcasts, amazing. Okay. I'm randomly popping around here. How can you tell the number of libraries? There's a site called worldcat.org, and you can go in and look for your book. WorldCat, as in kitty cat, worldcat.org. Do you just go to your local Barnes and Noble and talk to the manager? Yep, you sure do. And I would not go during a busy time. So scope out, if it looks like they're helping a lot of people, don't bother them. Let them sell books. That's their job. But if you try and go at a time that's not as busy, maybe mid-morning on a weekday, and then you just ask who is in charge of their author signing events. What are some paid reviewers that you would suggest for a children's picture book on a tight budget? Well, we use the Children's Book Review, and other tour companies, Love Book Tours. In fact, the owner of Love Book Tours is going to be a special guest speaker in Book Launch in a Box. She's going to come and talk in, and the budget really just varies. I mean, I don't know what you mean by tight budget. Tight budget for you could be $25 or it could be $1,000. So I'm going to guess probably in the lower range when we talk about tight budgets. But I would say that you first start by trying to find bookstagrammers that don't charge. There are tons of bookstagrammers that just want a copy of your book. And if you're willing to give you a copy of your book, they'll go and review it for you. What if you just launched very successfully? Can this enhance knowing where to go next? Sandra, congratulations on a good launch. I'm always happy to hear when people do that. So that's first, is congratulations. And second is, if you didn't do the types of things that we just talked about, and those are things that you want to do in your next launch, trade reviews, growing your ARC team bigger, getting in front of librarians and retailers, all those types of things, then absolutely, we would love to have you. Do I assume that you publish wide? I do publish our print books wide, yes, and our ebooks, it depends on the book. So fiction books, we generally start those fiction books in KDP Select for the first 90 days so that we can run free download promos, because for a new author that nobody's heard of, the best way to find new readers is to give the book away for free. And then after that 90 days, we assess, is this a book that looks like it could go wide, or should we keep it in KDP Select dependent on the genre? And let's see, and it's just really, to be honest with you, I have done like tests to see where people are buying books. We've put people wide and compared sales, and just Amazon just dominates ebook sales even. So this would also depend on your audience. If you know that all your people are diehard, Barnes and Noble fans, and that's where they're going to get their books for their nooks, then you would want to go wide. Okay, I think the link got dropped again, so I'm going to dismiss that. Okay. Where is the link for Book Basics and the Reels? So those are bonuses that come when you purchase the program. So if you purchase Book Launch in a Box today, you will get an email immediately with access to Book Launch in a Box Basics. The Reels are coming later. Lots of questions on the link. We got the link. How much time per session? That's a great question. So the content itself will take you anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how many training workshops we have. You don't have to do all of them. So we're including bonus workshops, all those kinds of things that you may not need now. So like, I'm just, biggest scenario, you might have several hours worth of training workshops to consider, but you don't have to do all of those. The core content will hopefully be about 30 minutes to an hour long each week. And then the sessions, the Q&A sessions will probably be about an hour each. And then if you want to attend the co-working sessions or anything else, or guest speaker sessions, things like that, those may be an hour. So those extra things are entirely up to you if you want to attend those and be part of those. But we're trying to keep it to an hour to 2 a week. And, but here's the thing, it depends on where you are in the process and if you're ready to implement. So if you're ready to implement some of these things, you may want to budget a couple hours or an hour or something for the implementation. What do I mean by that? Well, our editorial spreadsheet has a lot of places in there, but you might want to be looking for more local media. So you might want to set up 30 minutes to research newspapers and media outlets and how you get your book in for a review at those places, which will take you some time. So it's really, again, we have 12 weeks of active participation, active teaching, active training, all of that kind of stuff. But then beyond that, this is meant to be, I mean, we implement this process over 12 months to 2 years. Okay. So I'm not expecting you to do all the work right now. This is just your opportunity to learn so that you're ready when it's time to do these things. Do you have a scheduled dates of the trainings? So most of the training is going to be pre-recorded, and it will drop in that week of that fundamental. So you'll get the fundamental. You'll be able to look at it whenever you want, and then the Q&A, the live Q&A sessions will be the next week, and they're all recorded. So if you have to miss one, just send us any questions that you have, and we'll answer them at the very beginning, so that you don't have to listen to the whole replay unless you want to. I highly recommend Publisher Rocket for Amazon. We use Publisher Rocket for our every deep dive that we do for every book that we publish, getting categories, keywords, and all of those types of things. And I have a link that I can put in the replay or I can drop it in here at some point in time. I have an affiliate link if you want to use that one. I would love that. But obviously you don't have to, but yeah, we love Publisher Rocket. This wasn't answered. Any special recommendations for memoir? Mine is called Angela and Earthworms, An Unexpected Journey to Joy, Love, and Miracles. I'm overwhelmed with all the marketing possibilities. Oh, Lorraine, memoir is very, very hard. I don't know anything about your book from that other than it's a journey to joy and love and miracles, but I have no idea who your target audience is. Is it for older women, younger women, dads, boys, like the stuff that we talked about today is very much like the basic things, knowing who you are speaking to and showing up in front of those people in a way that's meaningful to them is the most important thing. Trying to get out and talking about it, talking about what's the transformation that's happening. That's really, really important for memoirs, that people understand that, all those types of things. So there's some, for memoirs, a tough book to market. And they usually, it's just going to depend. You need to go into it with the expectation that, with realistic expectations on sales and all of that kind of stuff. So the more work that you can do to get on, to get media around it, to get on podcasts, to talk to people so that people understand what's going on, to have live events and get out, that's going to really, really help you with that. But know who specifically you're talking to and what they need to know about your book. Let's see. I am traveling 6 weeks this summer, September through mid-October. How much of the live training will I miss? None, because we end the first week of September. So you will be there during the bulk of it. Okay, I got through all of those questions. I see lots of y'all sharing email addresses. So that's good that you're connecting. And if anyone, oh yes, I'll share my affiliate link for Publisher Rocket. I'll pull this up really quickly. How often do you offer this program? So Book Launch in a Box, the basics program is on demand. It can be purchased at any point in time. It's all self-paced. And you can do that whenever you would like to. But the live one that runs for 12 weeks, we only do that one once a year because it's a big program. It takes a lot of time. And once we get done with that, it's September. And then we start preparing for the Women in Publishing Summit. And then after the Women in Publishing Summit, we open up WIP school. And I will tell you, if this program feels too much for you, for whatever, time wise or any of those things, then we will be opening up WIP school again, which is it's a different type of program. It's a monthly training and weekly, kind of like come in and ask your questions. Very, very different than this very focused book launch thing, but it is a place where you can ask questions. That will open up again at the end of June. But we will not offer Book Launch in a Box until next summer. What was the library site again? It's called World, like the world we live in, worldcat.org, I believe. The cost of the program, it's $897, but it's 20% off. Don't make me do math. I don't know what that is. I don't remember. If you have the coupon code, it's 20% off. I don't have a discount code for Publisher Rocket. It's a $97 lifetime investment, lifetime license. So it's very, very affordable. And I mean, we've used this for years and continue to use it. But we do have, with Book Launch in a Box, I just added a 5 payment plan option. So now you can pay for it over 5 months if that helps. And that discount should apply to all of those. The 20% off should apply to all of those as well. Okay. Oh, good. I love to see all of this I love to see all of your collaboration happening in here. Okay, well, everybody, I went for an hour and 45 minutes. That might be a record. Nope. The original book launch in a box Q&A session we did went for almost 2 hours, but for different reasons. Okay, so if anybody else has any questions, again, you can email us at info@writepublishsell.co. We'll be sending out, give us a little bit of time. This is a big replay, so it's going to take some time to generate the video, but we'll send out the replay as quickly as we can. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Meg. I appreciate that. And do stay in touch regardless, and we'll see you soon. All right. Have a good one.